little bit.
After state. Ella, I do remember. I'm just going to... Ella, this is such a blessing.
No, herumnehmen, Autosloch.
This is such a blessing.
Autosloch. Oi.
Ella, this is such a blessing. You remember I was in your home.
Sie do a größer Gott im Himmel. So, du verstehst? What?
Yeah. There's a big God in heaven.
Ja. Eben. Also man kennt sich noch, hat gegeben, a bracha, that we should be able to see each other again.
It's wonderful. Oh, Ella, it's wonderful.
That's why you must never forget there's somebody above us who listens to our prayers. Are you listening?
For sure.
For sure.
So Ella, I met with Roma's family.
What about them?
Roma's family in Israel. I met them. They're patients of mine.
Oh, you had a granddaughter.
A granddaughter. And they had a bar mitzvah, which was wonderful. And you, the mother, came to Brakpan, and you looked after her.
Oh, yes.
And you sent her to university, to Wits.
Yes.
You know, it was amazing, because I never knew.
She was trying to get to Wits, but she didn't. Oh, sorry. I didn't know you've got a witness.
It's going, but you know,
I must come to Jerusalem to see to my teeth.
Your mother's amazing.
Will you give me your card?
There's very good dentists here.
Your visiting card, so I can have my teeth fixed, because although I'm not 100, you know that I'm not 100.
You're 101.
Sorry?
100.
I'm not my daughter keeps on telling me, Mommy, what do you think? You're 100, you behave, you're not 100. You're 101. Of course, I think that I'm 100, but I behave like I am 70, 75 maybe. Just a little bit over 70. Not much. 80, no.
That's amazing. Can you come to the video?
Sure.
It would be lovely. Ella,
was machst du? Was?
Baruch Hashem, very well. Very, very, and to see you even better.
Wo's der Weiberle?
So she's visiting with her family.
What is she doing?
She's visiting with her family.
She's got family here.
Yeah.
In Cape Town.
In Cape Town.
So did she think it's not so important? I forgive her.
She's for just a very short time.
1,000 others won't forgive her. I will.
Evelyn, I must just tell you and your mom, it's just unbelievable.
What sagst du? Unbelievable. Der redst ein bisschen zu schnell.
Okay.
Slowly, in Polish,
she says,
slowly, in Africa. In Afrikaans.
Ella, when I saw you,
I was
it was about
50,
4 years
60
ago.
maybe. Now I'm 70.
You know, you were so kind that you...
I was hacking a chanik and you were listening and you had my shinkala.
You remember? Ella, you asked me if I'm wearing tzitzit. If I was wearing tzitzit.
Yes.
Why did you ask?
I don't know. I wanted to know because I just felt that I was... Are you wearing now?
Of course.
Oh.
I'll even show you. And I've always worn.
Okay.
No, tzitzit is something that I've always worn. Always. But
every morning?
Yeah, Baruch Hashem.
You make a bracha.
For sure. So, Evelyn, if you could say a few words about your dear mom.
You are.
And,
are you very popular in Jerusalem? You're working? Yeah.
Not popular. I work hard in the dentistry, but because of what I did with you with the interview, and I've told a lot of people, patients, all my patients know, but because of that, I just decided any survivor I have a passion to meet. It's amazing, and then it's a lot because of you. And
Because he was interviewing me.
yeah.
He's decided now that it's a passion to meet other survivors.
And to hear their stories. And Baruch Hashem, it's been amazing.
You know, there is a German lady who looks after survivors in Jerusalem.
I was with her, and I told her about you.
But she knows
Her
me.
name is Ingi.
Yes.
Ingi.
Inga.
I went
Her
to see
name
her.
is
Inga.
Inga, of course.
I went to see her. I even interviewed her. And I told her about you. And she told me she came to Cape Town and she
Yes,
met you.
yes, she met.
She devoted
She's
her,
coming any day now.
she devoted her whole life. She never got married.
What?
She devoted her whole life to
I
look
know.
after survivors. And I've been to some of their
Forgive
events.
me. Who said forgive me?
That was somebody else. But
Another German lady who comes here. She said, forgive me. Chotosi.
Yeah. So, so,
We had a few visitors actually.
Too late, a little bit.
so Evelyn, if you could say something about your mom, because
Well, my mother's been living with me for...
Do you remember? You don't remember. I remember. Weitermachen, Schweinehunde. Verfluchte Schweinehunde. Did you hear? I said it's very nice, the weather. Am I right?
sure.
Did I say it?
No, not really.
Hast verstanden?
Mom?
Verstand.
Mom.
Hast verstanden?
Ja.
Sag, ja,
Natürlich.
ich hab verstanden.
Ich hab verstanden.
Ich hab verstanden.
Break your teeth, Les,
No,
speaking the Yiddish.
So you see, as we said before, zu der Größe, Hashem, Rabbeinu Shalom, lasst mir noch einen Tag, als ich stehe auf in der Früh, als ich sage, Moide, ich danke der Rabbeinu Shalom, dass mir geben noch einen Tag zu leben. Noch einen Tag. And I'm here, Ani po.
And that's what the movie is, which is incredible.
Yes.
And you want to know, it's really is amazing, because when I went to see you, I saw you had letters from Roma.
Yes.
Before, and Weisberg came as a patient, and I told her about...
Just a minute, which Weisberg, the
granddaughter.
Her granddaughter, yes.
And she told me that you are her mishpacha.
Yes.
So it's, what a small world. And it was, it's incredible. It's incredible. And they showed your film in Renana.
We know that.
And they didn't know about it. And I told them, and they came. And I sent it to
They were standing by the wall.
Yeah.
They
Oh, you showed it to your mum?
We actually, we did. We sent, we did send invitations just to the parents. You know, you can't send all the grandchildren, so I don't know if they passed it on, but we did send
I don't know.
to
But
all the...
it was sold out. It was
I believe
wonderful.
so,
It
yes.
was, it was incredible.
Yes, my nephew was there. He spoke, so I
Yeah,
don't know about
yeah.
Darren.
Darren was there.
Yes.
Your brother, I'm in touch with him a lot in Australia.
yes.
This machine color is working now.
So this, because
You've
of
got
this,
me, eh?
But Ellie, you know what? In Mishpacha magazine, Mishpacha is very, very popular. So
Which
Freddie,
mishpacha is popular?
There's a magazine
It's a
called
religious one.
Mishpacha in Jerusalem.
Freddie Peritzman, she wrote that.
I believe so. Yes,
It
you
was-
sent.
yeah.
And
So what
someone else
about
also-
this?
You appear.
You know, you haven't changed.
Wow.
How many years is it?
It was about 4 years.
No, it's more.
How
Because
about-
it's been 3. It's probably about...
You were sitting,
Far.
not so far.
Yeah.
Now you're keeping away from
Wow.
me. You were sitting
but-
here. And you made me talk.
It was
Noch
it
a
was like 2
bissel,
hours.
noch a
It was
bissel,
incredible.
noch a bissel.
I think more than 2 hours.
I was hacking and hacking.
Ella, I had to catch a plane back to Johannesburg, so I could have stayed the whole day. I could have stayed for hours and hours.
Now tell me, what are you doing in South Africa? And then tell me, what are you doing in Cape Town? First in South Africa.
So they're having a stamp exhibition
What kind of exhibition?
for stamps.
For
and I'm
stamps.
the commissioner, so they asked me to come. And I knew if I'm going to come, I'm going to see you, so I was very, very happy to come. But it's nice, I'm representing Israel, and I'm showing an exhibit of the rise and fall of Jews in Germany, how they rose and how, unfortunately, how they fell. It's a very interesting collection.
Very interesting.
But to see you is the most interesting. It's the greatest privilege.
Thank you
really
for the compliment. Thank you. Merci pour le compliment. Tu comprends un peu français?
And do it in Polish as well.
And in Polish?
Polonais?
Yes.
Dziękuję bardzo. Each other again.
It was Mina Shamayim. It's all Mina Shamayim. It really is. And that I met you, it's really Mina Shamayim.
Did I tell you, ich sag allemal, la größer Gott nicht mehr. He says, Mina Shamayim. Emes, I can see him again.
So the Mishpacha magazine goes throughout the world, all over the world. It's a religious magazine, and Freddie Peretzman is a patient of mine. And I told her your story, and she put it in. She put it in the Mishpacha, and it went all over the world. On Parashat Nachamu.
Where? What's up? The last one.
On your birthday, on Nachamu. This
Shabbat
patient wrote a whole article and went into the magazine, which went all over the world.
Yeah.
You did see it. I mean, there were a lot of articles. So there's actually a book coming out very soon on her life story. That will be released pretty soon. Yeah, just in the final stage. I'm just saying there's a book being released soon.
Oh, the book, yes.
And you remember with Yeshiva University that
yes.
they did
I spoke to them.
Yes.
How do you know?
Because he contacted me, and I gave him your daughter's number.
Oh, that's how they came to me.
That was very special.
And I said to him, Rabbi, he says, I'm not a rabbi, I'm a professor. I'm the professor
of history.
But of history at Yeshiva University. But you did something very special. Instead of relating the story again, which is not easy, it's very, what you did for me, I'm so grateful because it wasn't easy. It's not easy to remember and to relate. You said rather watch the video and then ask the questions. And that was such a clever thing to do. Because the people that took in that question and answer, they'd all watched the videos, so they knew the story, and then they asked you the questions.
Yeah. Talking about Yeshiva University, that's correct. Yes.
Wow.
That's correct.
I did talk. Now I am sitting and quietly listening to other people, because I am now coming to age where I'm not so young anymore, so I like to listen to other interviews.
Like who?
I don't think there's really many or any at all who were in a guest chamber and they can talk about it. And they're free now. Ze ani. It was me. Did you know? Did I tell you?
You did, and I was in Medanik with my wife, with Rabbi Adler on a tour.
Yes.
And I must tell you, Ella, out of all the places I've ever been on this earth, that is the worst place that I've ever been to. It really, it affected us so badly, just being there, being inside not only the guest chamber, which in itself, and when you mentioned about on the walls, we were inside, and it's the worst place I've ever been to.
I like to tell you something. You know, things are repeating. Did I tell you that when we arrived in Majdanek in the camp, they were taking out older people, men separately, women with children, with babies and children, they were taking them. And we were standing in an open space, we girls, women separate, men were standing in another place. And I had jewelry, so I knew I can't take it in, but so we're standing, Roma and Lena, the three of us, and I was digging with my heel a hole, and I put some of my money or jewelry what I had, some of my valuables, thank you. Some of my valuables, I put it in a hole, and with the heel, I covered it and I knocked it. Why I'm telling you this? All right, let me finish. Let me finish the story. When we came into the bathrooms, and I got undressed, and there was a black place where there used to be a fireplace, a narrow, and there was ash there, and I put in the ash the rest of my belongings. Did you understand?
Yes.
Some of them I put there, and then the rest, because we undressed, so where will I, so I left it in the ash. I thought we'll come back for our clothes. But of course, we didn't come back. Why I'm telling you particularly, I was in my Danek some years ago. How many?
2007, 15 years.
And I was showing them how we were carrying food in such iron pots, or how the food came from the kitchen. So I took off my handbag, and I was showing them that one girl was on one side and the other one on the other side, and let's say this is that pot that the food came. So we carried it, and I put an arm on the other girl. Oh, this was the food, and I put it there, and I was holding, and we carried where the food was, the pot. Oh, it wasn't a pot, it was. So I took off my handbag, and I left it on the floor, and I was showing them how we carried the food. And we walked around my Danek, and I was far away already. Then I realized I haven't got my handbag. I'm telling you now some years ago. So we went back to the place where I remember I put it down to show her how we carried the food. And the guard told us that it is with the security, and it took us to the security. I want my handbag, he showed me, opened it up, and I had my earrings, diamond earrings there, and something. And then the money was gone. I had $3,000. So I said to him, where's the money? To the policeman there, in charge of the security. But the jewelry was there, but the money was gone there. Give me, they called the police, Polish police of course, because I was screaming. I said, give me my money, it's all I've got. I am from South Africa. The police looked. I knew he took the money. I knew it. So eventually, after hours and hours, we left because there was nothing we can do. I knew he took the dollars out. So why I'm telling you, when I came to my Danek in when the Germans, I put my money in the ground, and now when I was there, I left it also with the.
She's saying she lost money twice. Then and then.
Hast verstanden?
Yeah.
So I was there the first time.
And then when we
again.
And now
when we
again.
We went back a few years ago.
You all went as a family?
No. It was just my mom and I and Paul and my nephew from Australia, Adam. It was about 15 years ago.
And how was it going back to Majdanek? It must have been very difficult to go back.
Well, there was that incident where she lost the money. But for me, I was petrified of her going back and thinking she would break down. But she was not at all. She was strong. And we went to Auschwitz. And in Auschwitz, what happened is, as we got in, she said, turn left, turn left, turn left, there's my bunker. Wow. Turn right, there was where the hospital, and we followed the signs, and it's exactly where it was. And then, eventually, there were people who were touring, different people, and they came up to me and said, who's this woman? I said, it's my mother, she's a survivor. Eventually they were so, couldn't believe that someone had survived. We had a whole group of people, strangers, walking with us. You remember, through Auschwitz, and she orientated herself, and then she knew exactly, there was the bathhouse, there was this, there were the toilets, and she got it exactly right. There was my bunker.
Have you seen the movie, Geordie's movie? There's a little bit of
yes, I remember that.
Yes.
But Ella, was it very difficult to go back to Poland?
I was alive, and I thought there must be, it's a miracle that I'm here to Shoah. I'm not upstairs.
I think it was more victorious.
I'm here.
It was a victory trip rather than, I was worried, but she was
a victory.
She was so, here was a person who actually, you look at this and you think, I still wonder how anyone can survive, but she said, I'm here, and I did it. And
I'm alive.
It was more like, when you win something, it's like a lap of victory. It was the victory. In fact, we went to they have like just across the way, they had the original SS stamped documents, and in the they had a library, but all the documents, the archive. Thank you. And the lady,
that was Auschwitz.
I'm talking about Auschwitz.
That was Birkenau 1.
Birkenau 1, and the lady running it said, "Look, the Russians have destroyed most of the documents, but we'll look." And
the Russian, the Russian collected,
yes, and whatever
there. They cleared, they took it with them to Moscow.
And then
all the documents,
only about 7%
that the Germans had.
And they found in the archive, we found her original stamped SS document saying Nechama Frank.
But give it to me. It's lying here.
You have it?
Yes, but it's a copy now.
Okay.
I got a copy of it in Auschwitz when we went.
And Ella,
as a matter of fact, when we went into the archive, I sat down, I stood, and I said, look, I was in Auschwitz, in Majdanek, and my number was 48,602. And so the woman there said, oh, have you got your number and your name? I said, my name was Frank, Nechama Frank, and my number. She went to the back and she brought out a document. She says, we got it from Moscow, and we couldn't find the person because there was a cross. She's looking for it, and over the cross was my number. They couldn't see, and on this side was my name, Frank, but it was half, so they couldn't see the full name, and they couldn't see the full number. They couldn't trace me in the world. The Poles couldn't trace me because half of my name
was missing.
It was a big cross. She's going to. It was lying on top. Who took it away?
I'm not sure. That's when she was.
From
my dad.
They sent me.
This is it's a photostat of this is the original. Yeah, this is the original document, and it's.
And because of the Christ, they couldn't.
No, it wasn't because of the Christ.
Here, look.
Discharge.
My number. Oh.
Yeah, there 48,632.
Oh. Can you see? This is my name, and this is I don't know what it said here.
I think that's the number.
Oh, my number is here, but here was geboren. My date of my birth. I was geboren this date, 1921. They didn't know if it's Frenkel or Froman or what, so they couldn't trace me. They had my number and they couldn't trace me. When I told them this was my number, they went to the back and they found this.
That's amazing.
This is when they sent me out of Auschwitz to Bergen-Belsen. So the Germans crossed me out. I was no more in Auschwitz.
They were so pedantic with all the documents. And
because
Poland youth.
Thank you for saying this. I want to tell you exactly. I said because the Nazis were so precise. I am sitting here talking to you. Exactly the words that you are saying, I am repeating. Because I was in a gas chamber in Majdanek and we were freed because the last minute the Nazis got an order to gas 500 Jewish women and not 700. That's why they released us.
We actually found on that trip...
he doesn't know.
I do know, because you told that to me. It is, everybody says, how did it happen that you survived?
Yes.
And I tell you, you have to watch the video because you mentioned, because they were so precise in their numbers, and they really were, and because the numbers were wrong.
So you can see now that when we left Auschwitz, they took me off.
There was actually also evidence.
Actually, I didn't know myself that they had every...
They kept all the documents.
And the lady said it's very unlikely you'll find it because most of them were destroyed in Moscow, but we found it. And then they're actually looking, not with specific reference to her, but looking in the actual archives there, they had the dates that she arrived, and it's in a file there. They said...
When my number was...
in Auschwitz, and they said... so many women arrived, I don't remember the number, so many are injured, so many can't work.
Some of them were dead.
It was like in there, some of them this.
They were going to send us back.
Yes, and in that particular...
I've got the papers.
In that it said, so many are injured, so many can work, so many... And then at the end of the article, it was all written in German, said, this transport... is not fit for work.
They can't work.
And therefore they have to be sent away. And then so that would have been the end of her, but then they obviously reversed it for some reason. So
the order was reversed, yes. So I've got the name even of the Nazi who reversed, who...
Because the number of fit working people within the transport were not...
all this we found after the war.
It was written up. Because they used to document everything. And this particular transport, they said, wasn't so fit for work. And too many were injured, and they were going to send them out, which would have meant sure death. But
they were going to send us back to Majdanek.
But then something changed.
And the original, is this still in the museum?
Yes, it is.
No, this is...
We're talking about this museum?
No.
Yeah.
This is when I left Auschwitz, when I was sent to Bergen-Belsen.
We have it somewhere, actually. We was just...
They gave you the original? I don't think they gave
No, sorry, they didn't have the original. Obviously, no, they just gave us a copy.
But the original is in Auschwitz?
Yes,
in their museum.
Yes, and they gave us also... there was another document also. There were quite a few documents with proof, and it's at the one, I don't know where it is, this one with actually got an SS stamp on it.
A document from Moscow, it says, in German.
Yeah.
This was afterwards. The Russian people wrote it.
And then we've also got there's a list of the survivors at Bergen-Belsen where her name is also, I actually saw it online as well. If you want to look at survivors in Bergen-Belsen, liberated in April 1945, and there's a whole list of people, and Nechama Frank is on there. So so there's a lot of proof, physical proof, incredibly, and original actual SS documents. So
it must be there still. The document must be still in the archive. They gave me a copy.
But at least it's amazing that it survived, that this document survived. I mean. It's a miracle as well.
No, when the Russians have liberated Auschwitz, they collected all the documents that the Germans have left.
But the lady said there that a lot of it was destroyed in a fire or something. So
the Germans tried to destroy
all the Germans had tried, but she said it's unlikely you'll find anything. But we did.
And you did.
Yeah.
They would have contacted me. They would have put it up, but they couldn't because my name was not full. Can you see? It was half. They didn't know it was Frank. It's F-R and maybe A. And
that's your year of birth.
Only my number.
That's amazing. So that trip was very significant.
It was very much so, yes.
Why I'm talking to you about it's just the money that I left in Majdanek.
It happened twice.
I left now also when we came. He stole the money.
I was there.
It was
yes, you were.
back.
We were all there.
Wow.
Yes,
the policeman.
You know, and now during COVID, I have a lot of, I had, especially during the lockdown, a lot of people calling to say, how's Ella handling it? You know, how's your mother? How are you handling COVID or in the lockdown? And people saying, can they come see her after the lockdown? Because they needed some inspiration to kind of get through the difficulty of COVID.
COVID, schmovid.
And did a lot of people come and visit?
People were asking because they were interested in how, you know, she'd lived through kind of major, you know, the Second World War specifically.
I didn't know much.
Concentration, you know, Auschwitz, Majdanek, Bergen-Belsen, and now she's living through COVID. Not even vaguely the same thing, but she's living through another major kind of world catastrophe.
So, Ella, I need to tell you this, and it's nice, Evelyn, you're here as well. I've shown your video to quite a few survivors in Israel, and I showed them also the part where you say at the end, where I ask you, are you alone? And you say, I'm never alone. Hashem's with me all the time. And survivors have even cried. When they hear you saying this, I've had survivors even crying when they hear it, because it's just unbelievable.
Well, I'll tell you for sure, she really does believe that, and it's not, she will say to you plainly, and she believes that it's not...
a little bit.
Oh.
It's not
fate
that saved her. She believes every single day. Even now, when she got COVID, she was in ICU, she was sick. And she said to me, I'll be out here in a day or two. I just know it. Hashem is with me. And true enough, 48 hours, she was home.
Wow.
And she got through it fairly well.
What did you say?
I'm saying, even now you were sick with COVID and you were in hospital.
Thank you, Paul.
But you were...
Yeah. But Ella, survivors have seen, I've shown your video to quite a few survivors in Israel, and they've been so touched by what you say, and especially when you say, I'm never alone, Hashem's with me all the time. People have cried.
But I know. It's true. I am never alone. It's correct. I spoke from my heart, and I'm still speaking from my heart. I never feel that I don't always around me is Hashem, because I wouldn't have been here talking to you if I was wrong. I'm telling you the truth.
And Ella, did you?
I live with Hashem. I know He's around me. I know He wants me to stay as long as He feels it's right.
May they stream, please God, in good health. Ella, did you used to speak?
I am ready. I am ready always.
Did you speak to your children when they were growing up about the Shoah? Did you used to speak to your children? Did you relate to your children? Or even did your mom speak to you about...
when I was old enough, not in the beginning. In the beginning, I remember asking her what the scar was on her arm, and she gave me a whole story how she was in a car accident and the glass got into her arm. So I remember that.
Oh.
I also remember her waking up at night screaming, which she still does, by the way, because I've got a intercom in my bedroom, and I can hear when from her bedroom to mine, and I can hear she still has terrible nightmares, and she usually dreaming that the Nazis are taking her children. That was her biggest fear. So no, she didn't tell. Obviously, she had this whole story about this car accident and glass, and I even imagined the glass going into arm and cutting her. And then only when I was old enough, I can't say that there was a time where there was a specific time, but just as I got older, I got to know the true story. And then after that, she did obviously tell us everything. But I'm the youngest, so my brothers are older. So.
And as and I hope you don't mind me asking, but as a child of a survivor, do you feel that it affected your life?
Very much so. In every possible way.
What did they ask you?
Did you being a survivor affect my life?
I loved my children. I looked after them. It was all I had. That was everything. And I knew they haven't got a granny, they haven't got an auntie, they haven't got...
Yes, so she was kind of the center of my universe. Still is. Very much so. So I think, I'm speaking for myself and probably my siblings as well, that we had this overwhelming desire to protect her. So everything, even to this day, we want to shield her from any further trauma. So if she gets sick, God forbid, then it's panic stations. So everyone is this major, I knew and I felt I needed to protect her from any harm that should come her way. It was just like this innate desire, because she was, despite what she went through, she was very warm, very loving, very protective of her family. And we were all insulated because as she said, I had no aunties or uncles or grannies or grandpas. It was just us, and we were all very closely knit as a family. And it wasn't that there was any sad moments, not at all, because you can see her. She's happy and full of life, and she loved everything about her life, and all the joys that came with it. But for us, we felt there was this underlying something that shouldn't have been there. We all kind of knew, and even now, as she's getting older, especially now, I would say, it's this overactive protection mode around her.
Isn't there a picture of my arm with their number before Dr. Penn is operated?
I haven't got it here. It's in your flat.
Huh?
It's in your flat. I have to go get it.
Because they took pictures before they did the surgery.
Yes. He refused to charge, but yes.
Really?
Sorry?
Yes. He refused to take any money.
No, he says, I was the first person that he saw with a number, and the first person that he operated on.
They did a skin graft. They took some skin on her thigh. So
I used to walk around with a sling because it kept on. It wouldn't heal. It was getting
keloid.
Keloid.
And Ella, do you regret that you did it?
I wouldn't have been able to go through life with a number.
Really?
I know it's yes and no. You're not the first person to ask me this. Am I sorry I had the number taken out? I know that it would have been something that there's very few people that still got it on. But I wouldn't have been able to live a normal life as I wanted to. I wanted to have it behind me. I wanted to be like everybody else. I didn't want to be different. I would have been different.
And Evelyn, can I just ask, because your family is an incredible family, do you feel you were traumatized growing up or being the daughter of a survivor?
No, not traumatized. No, not at all. Maybe I would.
Because there are many children of survivors that are very traumatized.
I would say I was traumatized. No, not at all. I think maybe I knew I was different. I knew that I came from a different home to most homes, but not traumatized. No, I think it's, I wouldn't use, we didn't, no, I don't think we were traumatized. We were definitely different. That much I knew. We were perhaps carrying an extra burden, for sure. And it was different to having a regular parent, without a doubt, different. But I wouldn't say traumatized, but definitely carrying a burden. That's what I would say.
Okay, can I add on something?
You can say whatever.
No, I want to tell you that after years living in Johannesburg, we moved to Brakpan because we bought a business there, and I gave my time to the business, and we carried on, and we were in this business for 38 years, and we were successfully running this business. We bought immediately the building, not immediately, but soon afterwards. After buying the business, we bought the building that the business was in, and it flourished. And my life was to look after my family and the business. And I was a businesswoman. I was a little bit strong, tough on the staff, because they used to wait when I was out, the staff, but they needed a loan. They asked my husband, when they wouldn't come near me, they knew I would have.
She was kind of very feared and respected, but people knew that she's forthright, she's feisty, she's going to say exactly what she thinks, and people knew, and they knew that, she's not going to waste time. I think everybody knew that about her, so she was definitely came across as very forthright, very feisty, full of beans, full of the joy of life, but she was the same way feared, because she was very strong as an individual, but to us as the family, to the children, to this day, children, grandchildren, now great-grandchildren, very protective, very loving, warm, loyal, all of those things.
I wouldn't have survived if I wasn't strong.
If you weren't strong, it's true.
Yeah.
It's so true. And you took care of your niece, of Roma.
Was Octa.
He said you took care of Roma.
Oh, yeah.
They say, the family says that
yes.
If it wasn't for Edith, we wouldn't be here today.
Yes, well, the same, just two things. The one was her, when I first, just a funny story, when I first was going out with Paul, he took me to his cousin for Friday night supper, and I didn't know him. He said to me, the gentleman there, he said to me, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Brakpan." And he said, "Oh," he said, "I know that town. I used to sell pantyhose. I was a pantyhose."
He was an agent from Wheeler Nation.
So he says, "I know." He says, "I used to sell pantyhose to." He says, "There was this woman." He says, "I don't know if you know the shop, third shop on your left as you go in the mess." He says, "Woo, she was a battle axe of note." He says, "Maybe you know her." I said, "I know her very well." And then I said, "It's my mother." And he went, "Oh, no, she wasn't so bad." And then he said, "Actually, to be honest with you," he said, "I used to need to take a whiskey before I used to go and see her because she was very formidable." So he said, I needed to settle my nerves before.
So it shows you I was a survivor, but in business I didn't think of my past. I thought of my present life. I've got a husband, I've got children, I've got a business. I've got to carry on. No use brooding, thinking of the past and living with those terrible thoughts and
but notwithstanding
remembrance.
That, she still used to have terrible nightmares, even though she tried to sort of squash and not true, but she did. As I say, to this day, it still happens where she screams at night. And then I'd often run to her and she'd say,
I thought they were taking my children.
Wow.
So what can I do? I didn't know I was screaming at night. I didn't know.
But I think people actually appreciate now her forthrightness, her honesty. She'll say exactly what she thinks without an apology. And especially as she's getting older, she knows she can say whatever, and people like it because you know what you're getting. And she's now, like I say, many people coming just to talk to her, just to hear what she has to say, just to kind of absorb.
You didn't say that people come to get a bracha from me.
Yes.
A bracha.
A blessing. Sure.
And wait, you know that there is a lottery. People buy tickets to win. So I am supposed to give a blessing, and I am.
In fact, my brother.
And funny, a rabbi. I mean, he's not hasn't got a shul that is, but he's got the title of a rabbi. Smichas. He phones me every time. Give me a bracha, Mrs.
My brother went back to Brackpan.
I took a ticket out. Give me a bracha.
My brother went back to Brackpan.
And it's not ask Paul. Ask if it's emes now at hayom.
My brother went back to Brackpan just to visit now recently, and he went to the site where my parents had a business, and there was a furniture shop next door, and my mother was very strict with them because they used to share a lane. She used to shout at the men if they made a mess in the shared lane.
They used to come and read there.
And they was quite
and
scared.
We had the cars parked at the back.
She gave
so we had to walk.
They were scared. So when they saw her coming, they would scatter. Anyway, my brother went back recently, and he was walking around, and he met one of the gentlemen who was still working in the furniture shop, and he said, Mrs. Bloom. He said, the town's gone down since she left. He said, she was power.
Wow.
She was, he said.
They called me Mrs. Bloom, not Blumenthal.
She was hot. He said, now the whole town has gone down. She was power.
In the business, they called me Bloom. I was called, not Blumenthal.
Is it still going, the business?
No, they sold it. My parents sold it.
We sold it to
Milady's.
Milady's. We sold it to a Lucky. Oh, by the way, when they came to look, while the business was still going, they came to look at the book. We gave credit also, cash and credit. So people were buying on the book and paying it off. So we had a ledger, and we sent out every month's statement. So when they found that there was about 2% bad debts, they couldn't believe it. It was me. I used to go collecting money.
It's not an easy thing to do.
Yes, I went around. Yes.
And
Ella, can I ask you, on Yom HaShoah, did you ever speak in at West Park?
Yes.
At West Park, yes, and here in Cape Town.
I'm sure you can get it. Yes. You can get this talk.
She did talk in West Park. She spoke in West Park. She's spoken in the Durban. More recently, West Park when we were living in Brackpan. In Cape Town, she's spoken a few times. In fact, the last time that she spoke was just before COVID, and they did a very interesting thing. They arranged for my mom spoke, then I spoke, then my daughter spoke, and then one of the great-grandchildren spoke. So we had 4
from Israel,
from Australia. You mean? Yes, it was Dina, and there were 4 of us speaking
from Australia.
The whole generation.
There was 4 females. Yeah.
Wow. They would have it all. The Jewish board of
so she's spoken quite a few times, but the last time was this 4-generation thing, and that's that's the victory that yes.
You know
that is
what?
the victory. That is the comfort. That you've raised such a beautiful family, and that's the victory.
Baruch Hashem. Thank God. I've got lovely children and lovely great-grandchildren. And I've got great-grandchildren.
And also nephews and nieces.
And also
Roma's family. That
yes.
Quite nephews, great. Yeah. So a nice big extended family now. So yes, it's.
And Ella, growing up in Brakpan, in Joburg, did you associate with other survivors?
Yes, we used to meet once a month at the shul in at the back of the shul. There was rooms.
There was.
We used to meet once a month.
Rabbi Fogel had
and we had
speakers. There was a Holocaust museum in.
I don't know. Just before. Shuvita Plata, they had a few meetings.
Oh, they did have.
Yeah. And she was the treasurer.
Yes, I used to send out once a month statements. Yes.
And were there many survivors in Joburg?
If there were not survivors, there were survivors, and there were children of survivors.
It wasn't huge, but there was a few of them. There was quite a few. A handful maybe.
Yes.
Now we're talking over 30 years ago, because she's been in Cape Town for more than 20 years, so it was a long time ago.
I think there was
40 years ago.
40 years.
Do you know who is now? It's what's his name that we want to, the Hollander.
Yes, Don
Yes, Don, and his sister also.
Yes. Irene,
yes. Famous.
You know her?
I know that very well. I know her son.
But I don't think
David.
I don't think he went through.
It wasn't so.
Auschwitz
no.
Majdanek.
He had it very hard, and he had it very hard afterwards. Irene was saved with the white buses. She went to.
No. You spoke to him. No.
He's good. He's very good. He's
good.
No, actually, I got my mom to speak to him the other night, and it just was difficult because he doesn't have his own phone. So we spoke to
There are not many survivors in Joburg anymore, unfortunately.
No. Sorry?
There are not too many survivors in Joburg.
No.
There's not too many survivors in the world because...
there is a woman, Irene Klaas.
Irene, I know. I went to see her.
Yeah.
Irene Klaas, she's
but
a very
Irene Klaas was in the Warsaw Ghetto, and somehow she managed to get over...
Do you know who it was? Rabbi Schoenfeld.
What?
Rabbi Schoenfeld brought
Rabbi
Schoenfeld. He brought her over to England. It's quite incredible.
He brought her over to
England, and she went to England.
England?
Yeah.
She went to England.
When?
I don't know.
It was Rabbi Schoenfeld helped her. So Irene, she still drives.
Irene survived as a Pole. Yeah. She wasn't in the ghetto, she wasn't in the camps. She survived on the Polish side.
Yeah, and then she...
among the Poles.
Yeah. Sure, it's quite incredible.
She was a little bit in the ghetto, I think. And then she was smuggled over. What did she know about the ghetto? What did she know? She must have got through. Yeah. And she suffered also in the ghetto, I know.
He wants to ask you something.
When Geordie made the film,
yes,
Here I Am, how has that impacted on your lives? Because it became, it's now worldwide. It's.
Well, I think
I didn't know what it was.
I'll tell you what it is. She, first of all, it was during COVID. She had to do a lot of interviews, and she learned how to use Zoom, and she gave a lot of interviews. And it was almost 3-4 times a week. There were both verbal, oral interviews
from all over the world.
And there were lots of webinars, and she participated even recently in a South African one. It was called...
I never refused to talk.
Yeah.
I wanted to spread that more people, and children especially, that they should be able to tell their children.
In South Africa, there's an organization called Beautiful News, and they approached Geordie, and Geordie arranged, they did a little clip. You can have a look at it. It's called Beautiful News with Ella Blumenthal, and their idea is to try and promote...
I didn't know about it.
Their idea is to try and promote positivity. So they gave her a little... they spoke to her, it was a few years ago, she doesn't remember, and they put together a little clip, and it was just to show how someone can be... They put it on their site to say, you know, someone can start off with huge trauma but land up being positive. So that sort of thing has been a spin-off from the movie. Lots of different, the university came through you, but various other platforms, museums in America. There's an organization called Education Without Borders. They've contacted all from the movie, and you know, had chats with her.
All right. And now you will tell our guest about the woman that put on the machine guns of everybody, that it's not true that Afrikaans...
No. That was in the movie.
No. You tell it.
I know about that story. Did she ever reply to you?
No.
Because you were amazing. She's very anti-Semitic.
She knows that she was talking.
And you reached out to her and you said you're welcome to contact me anytime, but she never contacted you.
Never.
Wow.
She
never contacted you.
We never heard from her. Never. I'm still waiting. I'm patient. She will.
I'm going to go fetch something.
So I'm waiting for her to come up to show up and then I will talk to her and I will let you know the outcome of it, that she will say I'm waiting for her to say, I'm sorry, I was misguided.
It's hardly likely.
Sorry?
I don't.
If she hasn't responded yet, it's
a few years ago.
But when Geordie made the documentary, did you know that it was going to be so incredible? No. It's not, the word successful isn't even the right word.
I was busy with the staff. The one was Italiano, the one was...
No, obviously not. We didn't know. I was just very grateful.
Espanol.
I was just grateful that a movie would be made in her lifetime, that she was able to see it, and it really was. It still is actually.
It won so many awards, but it's not only the awards that won the best, I think, documentary in Durban, in Johannesburg, all over the world.
But Netflix still refuses to put it up.
Not refuses, they're in the process of looking at it. It might still.
But you know, Ella, I'm going to tell you, whoever sees that film, that documentary, you're not the same after you've seen it, really.
You're not the same.
You're not the same person after you see that film, because it touches the soul. It really does. Yeah.
I didn't realize.
It is so inspirational.
I would like to see it again.
It is. We saw it at the premiere in Renana when they showed it, and I don't think there was one person without tearing. There wasn't a dry.
Is that so?
Everybody was.
I can't believe it.
I'll tell you, not only it wasn't that they were tearing, that they were sad. They were so inspired by that film that people were, you're sad and you're happy, and there's so much hope. And really, Ella, what you did in that film, no one's ever done before.
Thanks to Geordie.
And Geordie, but
it was Geordie really.
It's incredible.
But it was
Geordie,
his idea.
It
was his idea to put the whole thing together, and also his idea on how to put it together, which I think was critical.
Did you tell him that he listened to my story?
Yes, of course. Yeah. Would you like a cup of tea?
No.
You're going to get time.
No.
Okay.
You know, he listened. If he tells me, it's news to me that he listened to my story. He used to come and listen and take it, and then he decided he's going to scrape it all up, and he's going to do what?
I'm not sure.
Well, he did.
You said so.
You know, I think that
he's going to make it the way
The way they did it with the document, with the
yes.
So that's why I say all credit.
Animated, and it just flows.
Yes, all credit to Geordie there, because it is his idea on everything, the way he did it. It wasn't just another Holocaust movie. Let me make you a cup of tea.
No.
But I just want to maybe end up saying something with Geordie is why I think it was also so incredibly successful. Well, why it was so special is that you and Geordie's family are very close.
Are you sitting here in person? Says Amos.
But you would spend Shabbos together, so you.
That's how the whole thing started. Yes.
You have this connection.
Yes.
How long are you staying?
It's only for a short
what slaves do? Why are you running away?
I'll be back in Israel.
Lama.
But Ella, I just want to ask you, Ella, and I think, Shane, we're keeping you, but I want to ask you, what message do you gave such a beautiful message when we saw the film, but what message do you give now?
It's all the same, that we should meet each other, we must talk to each other, we must exchange our views, each one, and we will find that there is more that we understand, that there's more close to us than more that is away from us. We should understand.
It's more that unites than divides.
More that unites us than divides us. Toda rabba, Adonai.
So I just want to come in and thank you. You must. So to both. To everyone, wow, I'm sorry, I'm doing this.
There is more that unites us than divides us. Remember, let's talk to each other. Let's exchange our views, and we realize that this is the only way that we should understand each other. We mustn't just talk and repeat untruth things. We must talk, and we'll find that, I'm repeating, we'll find that there is more than unites us than divides us. So we should be together and understand each other.
Ella, thank you, and Evelyn, thank you both so much. Ella, I'm so grateful to you. May Vesrim in good health and happiness and all of Hashem's blessings. And thank you so much, Ella.
Mazal, bracha, v'hatzlacha.
Thank you so much. 100%.
Is it correct?
It is so 100%. It's very correct. Ella, you are such an inspiration, and I'm so privileged to know you and to have met you, and I'm so grateful to you.